Welcome everybody to episode 74 of the Gecko Pod. We are a podcast for the gecko community where we talk about the hobby and the business of breeding geckos. And we talk about new cow geckos. We talk about some various species here and there. And today we have our buddy Jack, fellow Californian, Bay Arean, really close, that lives really close by me, or from the city, San Jose, right?
Yeah, I'm from San Jose, born and
close
raised.
by, really close by where I'm at. So, fellow Bay Arean, we have Jack at GekkotaCulture. What's up, Jack? How you doing?
What up? Good.
What's
Happy
up?
to be here.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
Excited.
you guys missed a opportunity to be in the same room.
We did.
Could've.
Well, so I live in San Luis Obispo. I still live down here. That's where where I work at Zoomed is located. Is like their headquarters is in San Luis Obispo, and it's like 2.5 hours, I think, down south of San Jose. But what part of the Bay do you live in, Harry? Fremont or?
I live in Fremont.
Fremont.
Yeah. So that's only 30 minutes away from San Jose.
Yeah.
No traffic.
Yeah. You're
Super
probably
close,
about
man.
30 minutes away from my parents' place.
Yeah, super close. And I actually went to San Luis Obispo for college my first year.
Fellow Polys.
Did you stay in the dorms?
Fellow Mustangs.
Did you stay? Well, I dropped out, but did you?
For a little bit.
I dropped out my first year, and then I of course I graduated on time somewhere else. But
yeah,
I did too much extracurricular activities.
I did those too. Don't worry.
Did you stay in the dorms?
I did. I was in Yosemite. I was in
dude, I was in Yosemite.
What tower? What tower?
I forget.
I was Tower 0.
Okay, mine was like 2 or something.
Okay. Yeah. I got you.
Wow, that's crazy. We stayed in the same dorm tower.
At least the same dorm. We had a perfect view because I'm sure Yakitutu was in there after you were out. They put in like a brand new construction, like college, student housing right across the street, and it blocks the view of Madonna and the sunset. So now we just have a perfect view of a nice complex, and then they have the view now of the sunset and the skyline and stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's a great place.
The downtown is nice, and it just feels like it has good vibes. Still has good college vibes.
Absolutely good vibes, and more importantly, good weather.
Yeah, good weather. It's close to the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you and I, Jack, knew each other from kind of just the socials, right?
Yeah. Well, I met you originally. I think you guys were on like podcast 6 or something. It was like super early on, and then I went to the it was the
Anaheim.
Lick your eyeballs, the sellout,
the
your eyeballs sellout.
Yeah.
I was walking by you and I heard you talking to somebody, and I recognized the voice because I listened to the Gecko Pod on the drive up. I was like, wait, what the hell? Dude. I turned around, I was like, oh my god.
Okay, that's really funny. Okay, I remember now. That's the first time we ran into each other.
Yeah.
Was that was it Audrey?
Audrey. Yeah.
So you used to go to a bunch of those pop-up things, Harry.
Yeah, I would go to all her stuff because she's in the city that my wife grew up in, and it's really close to me. It's only like 15 minutes away. So I would go and buy a few of her animals, some of her caging that she would get rid of. And actually these, this
I'm sure
entire
that's where
row
most of
is
the
from
Exoterras came
from her. It's from Lick Eyeballs. It's like used Exoterras.
Yeah.
I got these for like $20 a piece or something.
That's awesome.
So that's where I ran into Jack the first time.
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago, right?
Yeah. No,
crazy.
Yeah, like 2, 3. I can't remember. It was a while ago. I can't remember when they started to close up shop, but
yeah.
So did they have a physical store?
They had like a facility of sorts, right?
Yeah, they had a facility, and it there was like a semi low key storefront, but not really.
Yeah, right? I think I'm sure because I bought morning geckos from them once, and I just showed up and then went inside.
From the door.
From the door, pretty much.
It's like going to someone's house to buy like drugs, and then you just pass it to you through the door.
Yeah.
Was it because of COVID?
No.
I think she just had different goals for what she wanted to do with reptiles or in the hobby. I think she was I think the I can't remember. I think maybe our partner there was a loss of somebody in that group.
Her partner.
Or that ownership or partner passed or something. And that was the person that was like doing a lot of the work or was super into the breeding side of things, and she's big into education and stuff and outreach.
So she goes around the schools.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sad it closed, but
sad it closed.
As far as Bay Area gecko operations, that was the one.
That's where I got my crickets for a while.
Yeah.
and now I'm stuck with Josh's frogs. No, I'm not. You guys have heard all about that, but now it's Pangea. Thank you, Pangea, for your overpriced shipping. But we love you, and your crickets are healthy and robust. So I'm a Pangea fan. So.
Yeah. I'm Team Timberline. That's what I run right now.
Okay.
That's funny, man.
Oh my gosh! And then so you, AJ, you met Jack. It was at Anaheim, right?
Anaheim,
I think it was the first Anaheim because I met. Yeah. Who all was there? You were there.
It was me and Ryan walking around.
And Ryan was there. Was there anybody else, or was it just you two?
I think it's just us two.
And then yeah.
And we met, and then we were all kind of broing out.
Yeah,
which was fun.
Yeah, dinner was memorable.
Oh, wait, which dinner was that? The pizza.
The pizza.
And we're gonna talk. Constantine watches this, but this is where Constantine and the pizza shop.
It was when we were at the pizza place. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Constantine, you know what's up.
Yeah.
That was a good time, though. That was
a core memory.
Yeah, that's good. But Anaheim show, yeah, that's where you met AJ, and we just hung out together, hung out. And, but yeah, fun. Jack, you've been into reptiles for a long time.
Yeah. Right? No, yeah, I've been in it, since I was 9 or 10, and every single job I've worked has been with reptiles or some kind of animal job. It's kind of all I know at this point. I went to school for animal science. First animal or first reptile I think was a leopard gecko. Had that for a while, and I had the Petco token 10. I had the ball python, bearded dragon, crested gecko, leopard. I had the gamut. They
had chameleon.
Up. Not the chameleons. Never did chameleons.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the one that was missing. But a lot of the other stuff.
Nice.
And then college, I kind of hit the reset button. Needed to get, kind of move on from all the reptiles to be able to focus on school, or that was the idea. I think it took a few months of being in the dorms, and then I ended up getting a little group of morning geckos to have on my desk, and I ran those for a little bit. Yeah. And then I got really into dart frogs for a year. I had a bunch of groups of different species growing up. It was all going super well. And then I moved the summer after my sophomore year into a new place. And that place was pretty much like a cardboard box. The walls are paper thin. And I think there's always this 1 week in slow where it gets 100 degrees. And I was working for one of those days. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that they had shut off the power for fire safety. And I come home, my room was 95 and everything was smoked. So that was another, it was tough. It was a tough pill to swallow.
I've heard that same kind of story with dart frogs multiple times.
Yeah.
Where people lose the whole room.
Yeah. Wow. I know some people that lose them to ants. I know some people that lose them. Yeah. I lost them to heat. That was my big thing. I bought a generator for, I now have a generator. So thankfully I got that covered now, but that was a big learning experience, obviously. And I still love them. And I one day I'll get back into them probably, but for now, geckos are where it's at for me.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So where are you at right now?
I'm in the quote unquote gecko tent. Is kind of what I've
that's what I want to talk about. I don't know if we want to do that now, Harry.
Yeah.
If we want to wait.
No, that's good. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about it.
So tell us about the gecko tent.
All right, I will. So at the last place I was at, I kind of started, I got really into the ReptiBreeze tanks as what I wanted to build my rooms from. So I got kind of creative with it. I use these polywall sheets. It's this, it comes in a 4x8 sheet, super durable stuff. It's waterproof. I think the only color it comes in is white, but it works. It kind of looks like white PVC once it's installed in the sides and all that. I got them behind me. Nice. And so I started getting creative with the ReptiBreezes because they fit so well on baker racks. They're a 16-inch wide, and on a 36-inch baker rack, you can kind of slot two seamlessly in. Yeah. So obviously with the 18 wide stuff, it's kind of a pain to get those to sync super well into a lot of baker racks. So I got really into the ReptiBreezes. But I was doing a lot of fogging and probably doing premature damage on the house, keeping it as humid as I was in there. So I knew when I moved into a better place that I wanted to, kind of dial it in a little bit better. And then, with the new group of, people I live with now, they were cool with me taking over, part of the garage. So I started to sleuth out how I wanted to kind of keep all my reptiles in the garage. And I keep primarily Uroplatus species, so the leaf-tail species. And also got some guards and cresteds, obviously, the new cows. So a lot of that stuff, obviously, you want to keep, probably sub 80s, somewhere in the 70s is the sweet spot. So needed to kind of figure out how I was going to be able to kind of keep it all dialed. And with all the repti breezes, I kind of figured out, maybe some sort of greenhouse or grow tent or, some kind of setup where I could kind of enclose a body of air and kind of treat the air versus kind of treating each tank individually. I kind of came up with something like that, or I kind of came up with that idea as like something I really wanted to pursue and I think would translate well to being able to keep it, because like all the species I keep, it's the same parameters pretty much. Just tweaking the setup here and there.
So this is in your garage, right?
Yeah, this is in the garage. It's a standard.
Does the garage have central heat and air?
No, so the garage is nothing. So a lot of the houses in San Luis don't have central air. It's like almost like the average temperature is so mild that there's either some kind of code or nobody installs it because it's not worth the cost in San Luis. But yeah, so
it doesn't get hot in your garage at all?
No, not so. Out in the garage itself, it'll get into the 80s. In the tent here, so I ended up finding as like the what I wanted to build the room out of was I found this 10 by 10 by 10 pop-up like easy up tent, but it kind of came with all the wall. It kind of came with, or it's like a fully enclosed easy up tent. So the walls kind of just zipper up. So I ended up building it out of that, and then I just installed kind of 4x8 sheets of insulation board to the sides to kind of keep some of the heat in cold air in, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Or insulate it mainly from the outside. The outside garage will get into the 80s on really hot days, but I also have like probably like the largest like inline fan you've ever seen installed on like the roof of the garage, going right out to the right out to a window. So whenever it gets over like 84, I'll just it kicks in and it'll send air out outside. And then like the house temperature usually stays pretty like mild. So having that, big old reservoir of cool air to pull from, kind of pull air from inside the house where it's, in the 70s, pull that into the garage, even if it's heating up, that usually works out pretty well.
And then you're also fogging and misting probably with relatively cool water too.
Yeah, no, exactly. So
and then your substrate is probably holding cool water, which is helping.
Yeah.
Keep the cage temp.
Right.
Moderate.
No, yeah. Inside the tent itself, I have a couple swamp coolers, and that kind of takes care of the humidity and the air circulation. Keeping a lot of repti breezes in open front tanks. I imagine it's circulating that air really well, and it's kind of supplying like a consistent, amount of like humid air. I kind of prefer that to having to constantly dose spraying and get that tank super sopping wet. I kind of prefer like having the air moisture versus the surface moisture, and that just works out a lot better for a lot of the species that I keep too.
I have a question for you. So I've had a theory for a long time with a lot of these species that I feel like a lot of people struggle with. So like, for example, like things you keep, Abronia, Uroplatus, Urodactylodes, things like that. It seems like from an environment standpoint, what they seem to do better in is an environment with high humidity but high airflow.
I agree. So and I think that airflow plays into that surface moisture too. I feel like you got to kind of disconnect air humidity to like surface moisture. They're two different things, and they affect things like the dart frogs. You kind of got to have both. Because they take it in through their skin. But something like a leaf-tailed gecko, right? The mossies, for example, will like lay in the same exact spot for like 12 hours a day, and they'll kind of hug a tree branch or whatever. If that tree branch is sopping wet, you got to imagine there's all kinds of nasty bacteria being able to grow under that thing.
Yeah,
if they're there all day.
That makes sense. I mean, I just think about like the climate, like the Abronia being kind of like a cloud forest animal. And like with Urodactylodes, I think a lot of people fail to raise young because they keep them like they keep a crested gecko, or they'll put them in one of those like hornworm cups or the like cricket cups with, it's like a 32-ounce deli cup with that like kind of fabric lid.
Those and there's not enough air exchange on those.
No. So I think that like that's a huge thing with Urodactylodes, like failure to thrive when they're young.
Yeah.
I think is people keep them humid with like very little airflow.
Well, they get that humidity number by kind of dosing a lot of that surface moisture.
But there's no air movement.
Yeah.
So the animals
to take that surface moisture away.
Yes.
You know, so it lingers.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm glitching. Yeah, no, that's interesting because, oh my gosh. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, we
can hear you.
Okay. All right, well, I'll restart my camera. Yeah, because I've been trying to keep Eurys the past year or so, and I only hatched maybe 4 or 5, and none of them have died yet. But I've heard from multiple people that it's been hit or miss in terms of how to have them survive and whatnot.
A lot of times the main issues come through with Eurys. If you can't get them through the first shed, they're doomed. Like the first shed, if you can get them past the first shed, I feel like you're pretty you're gonna do well with them. But a lot of people keep them too wet through that first shed and they don't shed it off and it just suffocates them.
Yeah, that kind of lines up because I feel like a lot of people have success by hatching Eurys in the tank, and I know a lot of people will recommend that. And I'm sure the parameters, if you're dialed in on your adults, the parameters in there are perfect to allow that animal to shed off that initial that post hatch shed.
So you guys are saying less surface moisture, more air moisture, and airflow.
Yes,
ideally. Obviously, that's difficult, and
that's also. It's different based on your environment. Like Jack's environment to my environment, it's like I could probably get away with Eurys on like my air humidity is really naturally pretty high in North Carolina. Yeah. So I have to dehumidify all the time.
Yeah, we're dry out here, me and Jack.
And you're dry. Well, so you have to have swamp coolers in your thing, and I'm having to dehumidify.
But here, check this though. So the tent itself is kind of disconnected from any of the 4 walls in the garage. It's about a foot off of each of the walls in the corner. So the only kind of part of the garage that's touching is the floor, which is finished.
Does it sweat?
It's maintaining a 75% humidity during the day and then like 85 at night. And I'm not smelling any mildew, not smelling any, funky shit. And so it's not affecting the walls. Thankfully, there's not, gross shit growing on the walls because it's not in contact. It's just, it's being able to enclose like this bubble of humid air.
Have you checked humidity outside of the tent?
Oh yeah, it's like 25, 30%, 40 maybe.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, so San Luis being a coastal town too, there is that like night layer of fog that comes in, we're maybe like 10 minutes from the coast. So, it's like this strange little valley that's offset from the coast. So it kind of dries out and gets warm during the day. But then at night, the night layer of fog still comes in. So night humidity around here is usually pretty ideal. It's just that daytime humidity. It dries out real quick.
It dries out,
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
So they, in terms of the environment for, just talking about Eurys, it's similar to other things that you keep, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What are some of the other things that you keep? And I'll pull up your IG again so that we can.
Yeah. So I keep, as far as Uroplatus goes, like I work with 5 different species right now. I've got Sikorae, which is the mossy leaf-tailed gecko, Uroplatus Ebenaui, which is the spear point leaf-tailed gecko. It's gonna be a mossy on the screen. As well as Uroplatus lineatus. It's the lined leaf-tailed gecko. Uroplatus Hankeli. I haven't posted those. I haven't posted those up yet.
Too.
Yeah, and then lastly is the Feshmani or Peachmani, or I don't know how exactly people say that guy's name.
I've always heard it Peachmani, but
Peachmani.
It could be wrong.
I've heard Piechmani, I've heard Peshmani, I've heard a few different things, but the cork leaf-tailed gecko and those have that's probably the animals I'm most kind of geeked about to be able to work with at this point.
This is cool, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're cool. Did you get these you got these at Anaheim?
So I bought them from a friend whose girlfriend drove to Anaheim.
Yeah, Mason, right?
Yeah, Mason. Yeah. Or
That's
sorry,
cool.
excuse me, wife at this point, I think.
Yeah, wife.
So these are the ones we saw.
Yeah.
At the
So
show.
So that male, that's a 2019 buy on import male. I got that from JP. It was his last
John.
male. Yeah.
John keeps some cool off species stuff too.
Yeah, he does. His cataphractus are dope, man. Did you get a chance to see those at Anaheim?
I didn't see his stuff.
Those are cool. Yeah, so that's the female.
So cool.
It's definitely.
How are they doing? Are they doing well?
Yeah, they're doing great. I have them in the Repti Breezes too. I have them in 16-20s. I'm currently working on kind of like their longer term enclosures. I have like these 3 foot tall cork rounds that are like complete, they're hollow, but they're maybe like 3 or 4 inch diameter cork rounds. And they have kind of holes in them too. And I'm like, man, I can't wait to chuck like 3 of those in an enclosure. Kind of fill half of them maybe with soil so they can kind of go in and have like a little like, tree hollow lay area. Cause I've heard that's an area that people fail a lot of the times with them is their females. For some reason, it's hard to get their laying sites right. So, a lot of people lose females to egg binding, but
yeah,
there's only, at least in the US, maybe 1 or 2 people that have been successful with them. And I know in Europe, there's maybe, a handful, probably less than a handful more. But
did they lose them in the war?
So I don't know. I know Bion has been hit pretty hard by the Russia thing and that whole, that whole deal. I don't have a, confirmed, I don't know for sure which it is, but either they lost a facility, like a facility got straight up bombed, or the area that it was in got evacuated and they just weren't able to, return to take care of the animals. So they had ended up, unfortunately losing a lot of their animals that way. I don't know exactly what the story is. I just know that, either they're not working with them or their collection of them got, hit pretty hard. I know they exist in other people's collections in Europe, and as long as they're kind of left off the off certain listings or they're classified in a certain way, I know they can technically still come in, but it's rare.
It's shocking that they could even find those things in the wild.
Yeah, I want to say they come from like a really small. It's a really small area. The Ebenaui and the Sikorae and a bunch of the other species are really widespread along the respective coasts. But yeah, the Pishmani, they're reduced to like, a small, mountain range, or maybe not even that. I think it's just like one side of a mountain range.
Wow. I actually had a friend of mine he's got now, I don't even know how many. He's probably got like 3 doctorates in lemurs.
Oh, that's cool.
And so he lived in Madagascar. Yeah, in lemurs. So he lived in Madagascar for like almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he would always send me pictures. Oh, look at this leaf-tailed gecko I found. And so like he would be all over the country and then just sending me like random pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Sikorae. Oh, it's Lineatus. And he didn't even know what they were, but he's like, oh, I know it's because I bred Henkeli back then and a bunch of other stuff, but I had a bunch of Henkeli. And so he would send me pictures as he would find stuff out in the forest, and it was always so cool.
So, I mean, pictures of wild Peshmanai are extremely rare too, because I want to say there's a bit of civil unrest in that area that they come from too, or at least now there is. So it's hard. It's hard to get back, and I want to say that there's no like real concrete like population data either. So it's hard to know how many of those things are even out there. Yeah. They don't know how wide the range is, how many there are, and it's a lot of unknowns with that thing.
Yeah, that's very
cool. I love talking about Uroplatus. It's been so long. It's been so long since I like really kept them, but
they're excellent.
They're incredible animals.
Yeah, and honestly, like as far as because I transitioned from keeping majority new cows to keeping majority Uroplatus, I felt like the transition something I really definitely wanted to highlight is that the transition was actually like fairly seamless. Like as far as room parameters go and kind of how you keep the parameters in an enclosure, I feel like if you're really dialed in on your new cows, it translates pretty well to a lot of the Uroplatus species, at least the Sikorae, Ebenaui, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ebenaui you can keep kind of remarkably dry. I've found, especially compared
they're
to
hardy
the
little
Satanics.
suckers.
They are hardy little suckers, especially compared to Satanics. Like if you're nervous about getting Satanics, I'd say Ebenaui is a great animal to start with.
They're hardier.
They're extremely hardy, extremely prolific. They come from they're more of an East Madagascar, a Fantasticus, or more of a Western Madagascar species. So they're kind of high montane,
wetter climate,
jungle. A lot more moisture. Ebenaui and Henkelai too, I want to say too, are from East Madagascar, where it's a little more not arid, but
where are the Lineatus from?
Lineatus are East Madagascar, but I think they're northeast, or sorry, excuse me, northwest.
Because when I used to keep them, I definitely kept them significantly drier than other stuff. And I know that you were saying people that you'd known had tell you to keep them wet.
Yeah, keep them the opposite way.
I did well with them, keeping them not dry, but like keeping them like I kept Henkelai.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, yeah. The Henkelai you want to say, or you want to keep those things a little more dry too. At least you want to stress being able to air them out at night.
Relative to Uroplatus.
Yeah. Not desert. You're not talking desert species. Yeah.
But not very humid during the day.
Did you ever
have kind of a dry out period?
When you were successful with the Lineatus, did you ever like food cycle them? Or
like food source, or like not feed them and then feed them?
Yeah, like not feed them, feed them.
No.
I
mean, they would naturally kind of go pretty soft on food during the winter.
Okay. Yeah.
I would temp cycle. I'd cool all the Uroplatus to an extent.
That's what I did with that's what I feel like Uroplatus are actually really easy. At least the more common species are really easy to breed once you have that formula down. I actually think they're pretty prolific as well once you kind of got them started.
The only thing with them that was bothersome to me was just I feel like how short the reproductive years of a female would be. Like it was, at least with Henkelai, I feel like you'd really only get like 2 to 3 seasons. Yeah. And then they'd fall off really hard. They just their life production.
Cycle. I've noticed that. Yeah, I think breeding is definitely takes a toll, and I think the way that Madagascar is kind of set up, some of those species, like it's almost. I know it's kind of it is how it is. Like a lot of the
it's like the chameleons too.
The chameleons, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's a big, born, eat as much as you can, breed, and then
breed as much as you can, die.
What's
rinse and repeat.
They come from the same area, so
I feel like Henkelai. I don't think I ever had a Henkelai live over like 10.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like most of them would, and this might have changed now. People might have figured things out, but most of mine I feel like wouldn't really make it past like 6.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I imagine, with captive breeding too, that's gonna extend the lifespan too, especially with a lot of the wild caughts that are still coming in. It's a big question mark where they're at in their life stage, so it makes it a gamble.
That's why, as much as you can, I mean, when you import or when you get animals that are imported, do you try to get like large juveniles or something where like you can have somewhat of a gauge on the age of the animal?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really had the luxury of options whenever I've bought. Like you
just see a list and
pretty much. You just take them off the list. Then you gotta go through the whole treatment process and stuff. That animal I'm especially excited for. It's got some eggs in the incubator right now. Nice,
man. Sounds nice. What in terms of like the care, you said it translates really well if you dial in your new cow geckos.
Yeah, and I mean that in the sense that kind of like how I had that freak accident with the dart frogs.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have those in your room, like you're pretty confident in the way you can maintain temps and all that. There are species that I certainly can kind of crash if you get them too hot. So that's the big that's the big scarecrow, I guess, kind of keeping people from trying them out is everybody talks about how sensitive they are to heat and whatnot. But really, if you got your new cal temps dialed in and you're able to maintain those, then these parameter wise translate really well. And as far as setup goes, I think they're a lot more of a specialist than kind of the cresteds and gargoyles. But the formula for keeping them is it's out there and it's pretty easy to replicate. With a lot of the moss or the bark mimics, you want those long vertical, 2 to 4 inch diameter, tree trunks for them to stick to. With the leaf mimics, you want those kind of thin branches and
ficuses.
Just run a freaking ficus tree and you'll be good. With those,
just get a little ficus tree. It's like 24 inches tall.
Yeah, well, I see him behind you. I got the Ebenaui enclosures, and it's literally just like a ficus tree in the center, a couple of branches spread out,
and that's it.
Supplement, and that's it.
That's awesome.
And one thing I will say about Uroplatus, I was listening to you guys' episode when you were talking about kind of bioactives and cresteds and stuff. Eggs for these guys are very easy to find in bioactive enclosures too.
In what ways? They lay on the top?
They lay on the top,
yeah. So with Ebenaui and Sikorae, at least, they always lay under a leaf litter. So what I have,
so you just put it in one corner.
I just put it in like one front corner. I just lift up like maybe like 5 magnolia leaves, and that's where they lay their eggs.
It's gonna be there.
So I'm able to maintain the rest of the enclosure really, really easily, and not have to dig around in there.
They're predictable cool in that way.
Yeah, they do have their challenges though. At least they do this really cool thing where they'll roll their eggs, and unfortunately the substrate I use is a peat moss based substrate, so whenever it gets a little dry, it'll just coat those eggs completely, and they'll be like dark brown, and they'll blend in perfectly with the substrate. So you got to go in there with a very careful hand, at least with the Ebenaui, because those things are like pinky nail sized.
And they're very thin.
Yeah.
What's how many crested, and just because AJ and I are like essentially more crested specialists, but how many crested gecko pairings or animal groups do you have right now? Not very many, right?
Not very many, not anymore. Yeah, I kind of had to sell house to be able to bring in the corks, unfortunately, with those. And it really just kind of came down to like, I get a lot of enjoyment from kind of walking through the room and seeing all the animals. And I was keeping my cresteds in more of like a bin style setup. And I just found myself kind of not paying as much attention to those as I would have liked. And I was keeping cresteds in kind of the reptibreezes. I was trialing out a couple animals. And I just found like the gargoyles were out so much more for me, at least. So I just gravitated more towards keeping those. So when it kind of came time to, all right, who's got to go to make this deal happen? Unfortunately, it was a lot of the cresteds. I still have like a couple pairs though. I think because my girlfriend really likes them too. So I can't get them out completely. I love them to death too. And they're an incredible animal. I mean, even like, compared to like a leaf-tail gecko, like the eyelashes are so iconic, the way they're built. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still like a dope species.
Yeah. Oh, this is the egg you're talking about. Is this the egg where they? Where you found it? Hold on.
So those are Sikorae eggs. Those are a good size, actually. Those are maybe.
But they're rolled in substrate.
Yeah, they're rolled in substrate. I'll send you guys a picture. I mean, they're literally like pea-sized eggs that are completely like substrate colored. And my groups at least have actually started to learn that if they bury them, I don't take them out as soon. Obviously that's not what they're thinking, but they have started to bury them, which has been an interesting development.
That's a pain in the butt.
That's a pain in the ass. I have to go in. I've been going in there with like a little needle syringe kind of thing, or like a thin branch, or like a like a magnolia leaf with that little node on the end, and I'll just kind of scrape through it. And it's
Harry, you could not use your little red line claw to dig for those. You would break the eggs.
This
Those
is what
eggs be
I've
tumbling.
been showing AJ how I pull some of my eggs.
And I'm cringing because he's like digs around in his egg box with that.
so
I'm like he posted on his like story, and I was like,
subscriber.
you're joking, right? And he's like, no, this is what I do. I'm like,
I do this for some of them, not all of them, but some of them where some of them are in Eco Earth,
Yeah.
So I do sphagnum moss and Eco Earth, just to try see what works best for lay boxes for the cresteds.
Mhm.
And some of the Eco Earth is it's sometimes it's wet or whatever, and then I cut a hole. It's like a 3-inch hole on the top, and then and then rather than pulling off the lid and digging, sometimes I'll just like go like this and sweep it.
The eggs roll out. You can always just candle them after the fact.
And you'll pull eggs right here like this. It's like a little. It's like a Redline did a great job with this egg scooper right here.
So bad.
That hole is just small enough that it doesn't fall through.
Yeah. So that's funny. So it's like a toothpick. It's like you need one of these, Jack, to kind of dig for your eggs in the soil.
As soon as you touch one of those eggs with that thing, it would instantly impale it. Yeah, it'd be popped.
Or it'd roll like 6 inches. That's the biggest thing with the freaking Ebenaui is I feel like it's hard. You can't candle them because they're covered in dirt.
Yeah,
and if they, they're circular, so they roll extremely well.
Yeah,
it's an interesting challenge, but so far the season's been pretty good with them.
That's good.
Yeah, in terms of pricing, like in selling them, are they? I have for me, like I'm kind of clueless in terms of the market for that, in terms of the pricing on those things. Like, you don't have to tell exact numbers, but in general, what are those ranges compared to cresteds?
Yeah. So as far as captive bred animals, I guess for Ebenaui and Sikorae are by far the best place to start with Uroplatus, and I think it's where 90% of people should look. And it's kind of cool. You got the option to do like a leaf mimic or a moss mimic or a bark mimic, so you kind of have those two genres. You got an option for each of those two, whichever floats your boat. Average pricing is pretty similar per animal on those. For captive bred animals, obviously the range depending on the color. With Ebenaui, they're a little unique, and like the degree of veining can vary. The base color can vary. There's a few different variables that kind of determine the quote unquote quality, the visual appearance. But usually you'll spend anywhere from $300 to $500 per animal for an Ebenaui. I feel like pretty similar. Yeah, Ebenaui go pretty quick. I mean, all you need, you just got to hold on. I mean, that thing, I have Ebenaui that have popped eggs out at 7 months. So, so they grow extremely fast. So, if somebody holds down an animal for like 2 months and then sells it, it'll be a good, healthy size. And usually you'll spend anywhere from $300 to $500 for a really nice one. With Sikorae, usually about the same, although less of those are generally offered. But I want to say you can usually get animals for anywhere from $350 to $500. They're really nice. Sikorae usually go for a little bit more. I know people that have sold like really nice high coverage, like bright white pied animals for over $600-$700.
They're less prolific than the Ebenaui.
I would say I think they are actually per animal generally closer, but you can keep Ebenaui in larger groups. So I keep my animals in 1.2s or 1.3s. So like per enclosure, there's a lot more output. There's a lot more output. With Sikorae, I keep strictly in pairs. I've heard some things about decreased production from keeping two females together with a male. I've heard people have the most success with either pairs or reverse trios as well. And that's a cool, that's an interesting facet about them is I actually kind of cooled when I was doing my winter cooling last year, which usually lasts for me at least 2 to 3-ish months. When you kind of decrease the light schedule, I'll take it down to like 6 hours a day of UVB, kind of just leave it at that. The room naturally gets cooler during that time too. I'll actually cool males together. So I'll kind of X out a tank where I'll throw a bunch of my Sikorae males in there, and they'll cool together. It gives them a break from the females. Females get a break from them. And when you repair, that's when you start to ramp up temps, ramp up that
They
light
probably
schedule,
are feeling
ramp
the
up food.
competition. Too.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it gets them amped. So right that night when you put them back in that enclosure, they're good to go. A lot of people I know that kind of got in a pair of Sikorae and just kept them together. You know, it sometimes takes a while. Yeah, they're not breeding. I don't know what's going on. And then you'll randomly get duds or something, and it's like, yeah, you gotta. I'm not saying that it's 100% of animals are like that, but have found good success. Have found a good success rate doing that, and just taking those extra steps.
Yeah, that's cool.
To make sure they're good to go for the season. But yeah, as far as clutches per year, right now I'm at, I want to say 5 clutches on the Sikorae. It's hard to track the Ebenaui because of how many eggs coming out of that tank, but I literally think they're laying like every 2 to 3 weeks. It's been pretty rampant. My incubator is pretty stocked on Ebenaui. It's gonna be a good year.
I mean, I should buy some Ebenaui from you. Just
absolutely. No, yeah, they're fun, man. They're really fun.
I just like to watch animals grow. You know.
Yeah. No, they're an excellent species, and especially the Ebenaui, I feel like translate really well. Especially from people that keep Urodactylotes.
Okay.
You could probably keep them extremely similar. Like I think you could certainly get away with a pair in a 12, 12, 18. Okay. And I do keep the Ebenaui together year round. Those things are so prolific that I don't even know if you need to cool them, to be honest. I just do naturally, but
that's awesome.
I suspect that they go either way.
Watch, everyone's gonna be hitting you up for Ebenaui after this episode.
I hope so. I got a ton. I got a ton coming.
Jack, he's the Ebenaui guy of.
Give me like 2 months, and I'll probably I'll have a ton.
Nice.
I'm still waiting on some eggs to hatch from my yellow animals, and those are the ones I'm most excited about. I think because that lighter tone base color really helps bring out a lot of the veining and stuff. But yeah, there's yellows, there's reds coming too, and it should be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Oh yeah, here I got a picture of this veiny one. Yeah,
it's cool.
It's really veiny. It looks like an actual leaf.
Yeah, they're pretty remarkable, and I Ebenaui too. Like they're not just the hardier version of a Fantasticus without the cool tail. Like they're spiked. The males, they're sexually dimorphic, so like the males have these really pronounced little
spikes on their heads.
Yeah, spikes on the heads, but also going down the dorsal. It's going down their dorsal as well. I know there's a picture of a male kind of sooner up in the slideshow there. That's got a good example. But you can see how it's got those. Yeah, it's got those spines going down the back.
That's cool. Yeah,
makes them really interesting. And yeah, you can sex them out the egg. You can sex pretty much, a lot of the Uroplatus out the egg.
So is it just based on the spines?
Yeah. So
Ebenaui.
Yeah, it's also the tail. The tail on the males will have kind of chunks taken out of it.
Okay. And the females have more of like
females are more of a complete tail. They're a lot smoother.
Okay.
There's also, I've kind of noticed that they're a little more sexually dimorphic in their color as well. So the males hatch out, or they usually have more of like a brown wash to them, or like a darker tone or darker wash. Like that male right there on the screen, it's kind of like a dark brown color.
That's cool.
The clutch made of that animal was most likely one of like the red animals. They're more like that salmon kind of orange color.
Would you say like something like this would be one of your best breeders? So you ideally want something like this.
Yeah, so that one has if you look closely, it's got really good veining and like swirls kind of within the veins almost. Probably my nicest male, I don't know if my nicest male is going to be that yellow male. I know I have a video of it somewhere up there.
It's more up top.
Maybe the other way. I think it's the other way down. Yeah, that guy to the right. Yeah, that one right there.
Okay.
That's probably one of the best males I have.
Is it Primarily
can see compared to the other yellow females, it's kind of got more of like a brown wash, kind of
he's
cast
beautiful.
over
His
it.
eyes are beautiful too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with the Uroplatus too, is that their eye color changes, as they fire up and fire down.
That's cool, man.
It's not really like humidity or moisture that kind of fires them up. It's the light exposure. So their eyes will change color. It was kind of a foolish moment when I was getting Lineatus. I would see pictures of them with like the bright red eyes. So when I was talking to the guy I was getting some from, he was like, "Oh yeah, can I get some with the red eyes?" And he had to lecture me as why that was,
Give me the red eyes one.
Yeah, give me the red eyes one.
You
Just
knew.
cool.
Oh, that's cool. AJ, have you ever kept Ebenaui?
I did not. No.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, they're fun. There's a lot of different kind of colors and unique traits and stuff, just like the crested and all that.
I don't think I appreciated them nearly as much as I probably should. But back when I was keeping Uroplatus, imports were pretty common. Of like you could get Fantasticus for like $100 a piece, like all the time, like 4 times a year. So I think that it was more. I don't know. Everybody liked Satanics, and Ebenaui were just kind of like, oh, if you can't get Satanics, I guess get these.
Yeah.
So I think that back then it was just that was not as desirable of a species. But now, I mean, I think that there's, especially that now that we've learned that they're hardier, they're more productive, they're a little bit probably more conducive to the environments that people keep their rooms in already.
Yeah.
They're probably a much better species for most people.
I would agree. I think so too. Like I wasn't doing anything special for these things. Like in the last place I was at, like the like just from spraying all the enclosures in the room, the humidity would rise and fall and whatnot. But like on average, like during the day, it was like 40% humidity in the room, and they were doing amazing. And I was spraying them maybe every other night.
Dude, check out those red eyes.
Yeah. At night, the Ebenaui get those red eyes. The Sikorae kind of get more of like a yellow eye.
I like.
They're all little unique.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, that's one of the yellow females I have breeding this year. I'm really stoked about that one.
You can get them up to breeding size pretty quickly.
Yeah. Let's see. When was that? When was that post? That was February. So yeah, that thing's breeding now and has been breeding for like the last 2 months. So
wow, okay.
And that's maybe like a 3 month old animal.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. So I mean, in terms of care, similar. You feed them bugs, crickets.
Yeah. Oh, so that's the other thing too, is that like I feel like nowadays a lot of people are a lot more clued into feeding insects to their new cows and stuff, as opposed to a majority crested gecko diet, regimen. So if people are feeding their new cows twice a week on bugs, that's about the same feeding schedule I do for all the Uroplatus. Their metabolism isn't like so high where you got to feed them like consistently every other day. I feed them. I feed all my Uroplatus Tuesdays and Fridays, and have had great success with that too. So keeping that same bug day, that'll work for these things. You ain't got to do anything special.
That's awesome, man.
So
man, yeah, I love your animals. I think that's what I like about you, Jack. Is like you had a lot more cresteds before, and then you started moving towards. I mean, you already had a variety of species, but I like people that keep different stuff.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Well, it's like you learn a little bit from every facet of the hobby, I think. And I think the more you kind of expand and kind of try new things, talk to different people, you're forced, recently in the pipeline, I'm getting a couple of rhino rat snakes, and I'm kind of have one of my toes in that hobby, in that kind of group of people now. And you just meet all these different people, you get all these different tips for all these different species, and you kind of amalgamate that to the stuff you're most stoked on. And it's kind of what keeps it interesting, is you're able to take little bits of information. The hobby is pretty sectionalized. I feel like, the gecko community is one facet, the ball python community,
the rare gecko community is separate from like, it's like the people that like Uroplatus often are not the same people that keep crested geckos.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think that's gonna change though. You know.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
hoping it will.
This episode will change it.
Yeah.
You're gonna change the world.
One Ebenaui at a time.
So Jack, tell us. I know, obviously we know. Maybe you could tell the audience a little bit about kind of what you do at your day job and what you're kind of involved with, kind of during your week. Obviously, you had said every job you've had has been kind of involving reptiles.
Yeah.
Including the one you have now. So you want to talk a little bit about kind of what you're doing and what that entails?
For sure. Yeah. So right now I work at ZooMed Labs and their main headquarters is in San Luis Obispo. So the town I went to college in. It wasn't a pre-planned thing. I just got really, really lucky. And as soon as I found out, that ZooMed was in San Luis, it was a lot of, persistent and probably annoying emails to get my foot in the door. I got there's like a World Snake Day, and one of the employees at ZooMed would go out to like the Pismo Preserve or like the beach preserve, and kind of show off snakes that day and whatnot. And I'd kind of roll my ass up and try and help out with that, kind of talk up the rep that was going there. And, I tried all kinds of things, even when I was in high school or probably middle school, honestly. I made friends with kind of like the local store sales rep. I'd like call them up and tell them to send my email in and stuff. And, but I didn't, so it was a long chain of trying to get my foot in the door, but I finally did. It's been really fun. So I guess my day to day now, I'm kind of split 50-50 between kind of animal care and breeding and the social media. So everything you see on Instagram and stuff is usually coming from me.
So if we message ZooMed, it's you.
I'll probably see it. There's one or two people that have access to it and stuff, but
so we can't talk crap to you like directly.
I'd hope you guys would put in a good word. And I just leave it unread until somebody else.
We'll just message ZooMed. Jack is so great.
This new guy you guys got.
Give him a raise.
This guy's amazing. We're gonna tag ZooMed on this episode.
Appreciate that. No, so I started I want to say a year and a half ago. I think I started January of 23. Mainly just doing animal care while I was still in school. And then in May I graduated, or March maybe. I think I started full time officially on April 1st. So then that's when I kind of took up a lot of the social media stuff as well. But yeah, like kind of like the way that the ZooMed animal side goes, or animal side is that we have kind of like an indoor reptile room. It's where a lot of the office desk spaces are for a lot of the customer service and R&D team. And then there's also an outdoor greenhouse that's got a lot of the kind of like our older adult turtle groups and tortoise groups and whatnot. Also got some lizards out there too. But it's a really cool place, and it's a really cool place to work. A lot of cool people there. It's really fun, and can't see myself working anywhere else at this point.
That's awesome,
That's so cool. Is there you talked about you said you're getting some rhino rat snakes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's kind of on your radar as far as species that you'd want to work with in the future? Say if space wasn't a constraint, we'll say if space wasn't a constraint and finances weren't a constraint, what would you want?
Oh man, I mean, jeez, I feel like whatever I say, I'm gonna go back on it later. But I mean,
at this moment,
oh man, if I had all the space in the world, oh man, I need maybe
sloths, toucans, lemurs,
the tiger.
That's hard. I'm trying to think of stuff that's only available in Europe right now and is not in the US.
You know what you need? You need to get Masobe, Paradura Masobe.
What is that? I need to look this up.
Yeah, that's stuff. Those guys are practically unobtainium at this point.
I don't think you can even. Does anyone even still have any?
How do you spell it?
I think Eddie Soto had some, and then he sold them, and then who knows where They went.
Oh,
They went to the void.
1 second, Harry.
No, but I'd probably say something like a Fiji bandit or something along those lines.
Fiji bandit.
Fiji
I'm
bandit
looking at
iguana.
pictures so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't.
Here, Harry, if you go in the chat, I'll send you a link.
Okay.
Wait.
In the doc.
I'll think of something after this. That
Okay.
would probably replace
I still
it.
want. I mean, I don't know if this is like pretty basic, but I still like girdle lizards, man. I think they're.
Yeah.
Girdle.
So cute.
Like the cataphractus or the
I don't even know. Let me look it
the
up.
Ouroboros.
Harry, grab the link.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Masobe.
This is like so. This is like
they kind of remind me of an Underwoodosaurus almost.
Yeah,
they kind of have that look.
And a boreal one.
Yeah,
but these are like historically known as being like you think that satanics are touchy. This is like a satanic on crack.
Jeez.
As far as like people's inability to keep them alive and breed them.
Yeah.
So for years and years and years, it was like there was like 2 or 3 people in Europe that could breed them, and then Derek Dunlop bred them in the United States. But there was just so few people that could succeed with them. You need to keep them pretty cold.
Consistent. What part of the island are they from?
I couldn't tell you. I never kept them, so.
Okay.
But people just love these things.
Cool. The cool thing about Madagascar and like at least the species that are kind of like mapped out population wise is you can kind of look at different species that kind of integrated with each other, and you can kind of
figure out care from another species
and kind of zone in on how to get.
It's like, oh, Ebenaui and Lineatus or Henkelai or whatever from a similar climate, you know.
And Phelsuma Clemeri too. That's something I want. I got a desk tank with Clemeri in it. I'm half of mine to chuck some Ebenaui in there and see what happens.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. But I think probably something I can't get in the US, Fiji banded iguanas or
the Fijis are so cool.
Yeah.
Also any of the like New Zealand stuff.
Yeah. As I obviously some kind of monitor. I think one of the tree monitor species I'm gonna have to do at some point. I like I think I like the Cordensis. Is it? Are those the kind of like the dark green?
They're like the teal.
They have the
like
teal green. Yeah. The off green color. Yeah. I think the Cordensis or even the yellows. I love the yellows too.
Do you like the Bomii? The black and yellow?
Man, like
so it's like the reverse of the yellows.
Yeah. They kind of remind me of mangrove monitors a little bit. They're really neat.
Cool.
I think I prefer the Cordensis, and I forgot what the yellows are, but
it's like is it the one with the R? Is it like Racingarai?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know the pronunciation.
Rasengan.
Yeah.
Whatever Naruto would say.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that'd be its name for sure. Something badass like that. Yeah,
every yellow tree monitor is just named Naruto.
We want this.
Yeah, I was a Naruto kid for sure.
I love that. I grew up on Naruto.
I think we all watched it.
Some of us just don't speak about it.
Brian, who's Gecko, grew up on Dragon Ball. I wasn't a big Dragon Ball guy, but I was more of a Naruto guy.
Yeah, I was Naruto and Bleach. Those are my two.
Yeah, Bleach. Yeah.
I'm a huge Bleach fan. I think I appreciate Bleach a lot more nowadays than I did back then.
Man, Bleach isn't on Crunchyroll though, so I can't show it to my kids.
Pirate it.
Yeah,
that shit.
Just watch like
Anywatch.to. What is it? I think it's High Anime now, or HI Anime or something.
Jack, you're being a bad influence on our audience. You're telling them to pirate anime shows?
No, I'm telling them to go to a website that is on the World Wide
Web. All right,
Web.
now we can't share this episode with Zoom, Jack. I'm sorry.
The Gecko Pod. We do not pirate anything. We do things legally. I pay $7.99 for Crunchyroll every.
And then he gives his password to anyone who wants it.
Netflix allowed that for a while, and then
yeah.
they started cracking down.
Then they realized they weren't making any money, and they're like, "We gotta do something."
Yeah,
so funny.
So funny.
So Jack, I wanted to ask you. So in terms of socials, right? I think socials is a big thing. So AJ and I, we were chatting just earlier today, and we were just talking about socials and building a following, just between like how we build kind of our own following and social media and things like that. And I remember we followed each other for a while now, and I remember when you had under 1,000, and now you're at 20,000.
Yeah,
like surpassed all of us like quickly, but recently too, right?
Yeah, it was a lot in like the last 3 months. And honestly, I kind of found just like a formula that works. As my kind of collection has grown, I've kind of also been able to figure out how to kind of efficiently work in some content creation as well. So whenever I'm setting up an enclosure or something, that's like enclosure builds are great. You kind of got to think about like, okay, so your followers are going to see this, but you also got to make, if you want to grow, I guess, and that may not be some people's goal. Honestly, it's not really, my biggest concern at this point, but like, if you're trying to grow, you also got to think about the non-followers too. And how you're going to rope them into your kind of pod, into your hobby. And to a lot of kind of, non-reptile people or kind of aspiring reptile people, the cage builds are really great. Or if you've got like a really crazy looking animal, kind of showing that off in a creative way. It's like, and also kind of, I don't want to say, be a personality, because, don't act or anything, or,
Well, put yourself out there for sure.
Yeah, put yourself out there, like be a face and be a human, and I think people kind of appreciate that, and especially over time, they'll appreciate that, and they'll, people will see the consistency and, and want to prescribe to it. A lot of the stuff that worked for me was like the quick cut ASMR stuff. I got that from Armin. I'm not even gonna hide it. He's killing it. He's killing it. Yeah.
Herp time.
Yeah. He's killing it. So, and kind of take notes from different creators. It's not copying, as long as you put your own spin on it and do it your own way. It's you should 100% take notes from like the big guys and see what they're doing. That's kind of what I noticed early on, is that like how tiny people's attention spans are, and if you don't have, I mean, it's just like writing like a a high school paper, or it's, you got to have a good hook. If you don't have a good hook, people are going to slide right by. And unfortunately, that hook can't just be something. It's
a picture of a gecko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
As far as videos, but it's like it pays. You also gotta, as much as you want to grow and get non-followers in and stuff, you also gotta like accommodate your followers, and like probably what people want to follow me for. At least like the reptile people that follow me probably just want to see what I'm working with, or they probably just want to see cool pictures of some cool geckos, I would imagine. So it's important to kind of attend to your followers too, so you don't just your account isn't hollow. If you're just putting out kind of like, not clickbaity, but like, big personality, not a lot of gecko, then,
if you're just posting like TikTok dances and there's no geckos.
Yeah. And there's no geckos, if it's all you and no geckos, then your audience will probably be, less about the geckos. And that's kind of not where I want to be at.
Videos.
You gotta just make
TikTok
content for who you want to follow you, I guess,
Yeah,
like
your ideal audience. Yeah.
Make content for your ideal audience. Unfortunately, sometimes that ideal audience isn't going to be as big as you may hope and dream. But I think
people that are like you, there's like 7 of them in the world. It's like, man, I really want these 7 people to really be into what I'm making.
What I appreciate also, Jack, is that you're like a true passionate guy about animals and herpetoculture and things like that, and it's really obvious. And I like this account, your secondary account, where you just take the time to kind of take shots of animals with your camera, like
Yeah.
close up macro shots where it's like I love these shots. They're
No,
really,
photography is it's really refreshing. It's like I'm on a bit of like a content break a little bit. Just mentally, I haven't been super locked in like the last 2 weeks. I think was just moving and a lot of animals coming in, and I just have a lot on my plate right now. Photography has just been like such a nice bit of fresh air, because like you follow all these crazy photography accounts like Rupert's Reptiles, 100%, shout, that guy's got some incredible photography skills, but like it's stuff like that. It's like really refreshing to just like just go out into the woods and find a cool animal and document it. You don't especially with as I've kind of learned kind of wildlife photography a little bit, at least macro stuff, being able to document that experience of finding that animal. Obviously I didn't find this tree frog, I put it on a leaf and I took a picture of it. Like
I was gonna say, where in California are you finding red-eyed tree frogs?
But like the speckled rattlesnake that I have higher up, like being able to just document that experience. Like obviously it's a rattlesnake, so I don't want to take it home, but like when you find like a cool, like say, I don't know, maybe you find like a cool alligator lizard, part of you probably wants to take that thing home, and keep it for a little, but like being able to document
but you can just take the photos.
But you can just take the photo and you have that kind of memory of that finding that animal, and it kind of documents it and kind of satisfies that. But
that's very cool. So your photo setup, what do you run in to take these like the outdoor shots?
Yeah, so I've got a Canon 80D as my camera, and then for lenses I've got like the 30 to 55 mil kind of kit lens it comes with.
Nice.
A lot of the close-up stuff is with a 100 mil macro, but I found like with a lot of the outdoor stuff, I love the wide angle shots the most. So like shots with under like a 30 mil lens, I feel like I like the most, and being able to take those. I've got this light diffuser. It's called an AK diffuser, but it's like it wraps around like the lens of the camera, and it kind of shoots the flash in like this big old kind of circle, so it illuminates. It softens that light and illuminates it way better than just like a single point flash could. And it's attached to the camera, so I don't need to have like a second person holding a disconnected flash over the subject. I can just kind of walk up and take it, and it'll go off. And that's
cool.
I think the biggest thing with that's how all these crazy wildlife photography people are doing it. They just got nice flashes and stuff, and there's definitely a learning curve with kind of figuring out angles and stuff. But as far as like the quality of the picture, flash has a lot to do with it, because that kit lens, it's nothing special, but lighting
for sure.
Lighting is key. Yeah,
same with like when you're doing video, it's like sound is almost more important than video.
I would also agree. Voiceovers and stuff. Yeah, you need good audio, because people are just gonna scroll right past it. It's like it's the first thing that hits them, and then like with content creation, people obviously captions are a big thing nowadays, and it's because that's what draws the eyes, and it just locks those eyes on that video that extra bit longer, and kind of buys you some time to kind of get to it, I guess, and give them reason to stick around.
Oh my gosh, my
Harry's having like camera
webcam
is.
I don't know what's going on today, but
while Harry fixes his camera, I think we're gonna wrap up, Jack. I think that we've hit so much good stuff just talking about Uroplatus. I think it's funny that it's taken this long to actually talk about them.
Yeah,
because for me, it's like they hold like a sentimental place in my heart, and so it's cool that we got to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I'm happy.
I'm sure we'll have you back to talk about
100%
different things. Probably in 6 months, you're gonna have a bunch of cool stuff that we want to talk about. So.
Yeah, the box of Sri Lankan stuff is coming tomorrow, so
I'm excited to see that unboxing. So how many did you get?
I only got a pair. I'm just starting with I got a pair of Geckos Stambara. But I've had a lone female Calotes Pethiagodae for a couple months now, and I'm finally getting a male for it too.
Nice.
In the box as well. So Really
So is it
excited.
just those 3 animals in the box?
Yeah. I also
Okay.
got some Strophosaurus for a friend in there too, but
Nice.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm kind of geeking about this Sri Lankan stuff.
That's
It's like,
awesome.
damn, I don't really want to reroute from Uroplatus. I have,
But
I'm
the
having so
care,
much fun with them. But
like we've talked about, I mean, I feel like that environment or that care is very
it
similar.
translates very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the things you're working with in that are in the same ballpark for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So where can people find you? What do you have going on? You got any shows coming up that you're attending or?
I think so. Yeah. I guess my Instagram is GekkotaCulture. So GekkotaCulture, kind of modeled off herpetoculture, but with geckos, I guess.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I got that kind of more herping and wildlife photography or just photography account, Jack in the Woods.
I didn't even follow Jack in the Woods, so I gotta go get it. I didn't even know it existed.
I do.
So.
I follow you.
Appreciate it. No,
I gotta go
I don't
follow.
market it a whole lot or kind of show it off a lot. It's kind of just there as like a kind of like, what was that old picture app that is kind of dead now? Not Pinterest, but the one that like all like the high school girls would post, random shit to. You know what I'm talking about?
Snapchat?
No, not Snapchat.
Oh
What are we talking about?
gosh.
You know what I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah, I know. It was like the total like emo girl. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember what.
It was like an
Disco.
overly simplified Instagram almost.
Oh gosh, I can't remember. I never used it, but
Yeah, neither did I. But it's kind of just like so I can just have a collection of kind of just collect them all, I guess. Get them out of my camera roll.
yeah,
Share them a little bit.
that's cool.
But yeah. And then as far as shows go, I think the California circuit is mostly over. I might go to Sacramento. Might
Oh,
not.
Nice. Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, we'll see. Okay.
It's kind of a question mark whether I go or not. But
Yeah.
I'm going to Animal Con in, I think it's October.
Where's that?
4th.
Is that LA?
It's Orlando.
Orlando. Oh, you're going to Orlando.
Yeah.
October what?
It's like 4th through the 6th, I think.
Oh, so it's right before Tinley.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough stretch there.
Yeah.
And I know we have.
Are you going to Tinley?
I'm not going to Tinley, I don't think.
Okay.
My girlfriend's birthday is on the 13th.
Oh no.
I'm making
she doesn't
her
want to go to Tinley Park. It's a beautiful place for a birthday. Not really. The weather for October and March, Tinley is like the worst in Tinley.
I was
pretty much always raining
with the city life in Chicago, or the nightlife in Chicago. But no, I'm slowly making her a reptile person. I got her a rainbow boa recently.
Oof.
So
she wants to get bit by a rainbow boa all the time.
Well, no, I've gotten bit like 5 times, and she hasn't gotten it yet.
That's what I'm saying. I swear, when I used to take care of snakes at one of the jobs that I worked at, the thing that bit me the most by far was rainbow boas.
Yeah, little rainbow boas. It's a little kind of yearling Brazilian.
Snappy.
Yeah,
Oof.
they're a little. It was funny. She was holding it, and like, she's hyper aware of where the head is, and it was like behind her arm, so she like looks around, and the thing almost whacks her in the nose. It would have been her first snake bite. They
also are just ravenous. They want to eat so much.
They're that thing hides all day. We've got it in like a nice enclosure and stuff, and it's really full. So like, it's doing an effective job of making that thing feel comfortable. But like, it's obviously never out during the day. You open that thing with a rodent, shoots out.
Yeah,
where's it?
That's so fun.
So yeah,
cool. I was just gonna say, oh yeah, you got to bring her with.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like I got to make her a reptile person, like a full on reptile person to
and then she'll want to come to Tinley.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know, maybe I should warm her up with Anaheim. I feel like Anaheim would be like a great first.
She was there, right? I think we met her.
Yeah, she's been there before, but she wasn't keeping anything then.
Okay.
But
you got to set her up a tent at her house, at her garage.
Yeah, it'll be kind of tough in her apartment. But I was gonna say, because all of her animals are in my freaking bedroom right now, because she's off doing an internship. So.
Oh wow!
But,
so you got it all.
I got it all.
Harry, are we gonna get you back before we sign off?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
What you going on? What you got going on over there?
I'm sorry, Jack.
You're good.
I don't know.
I will say this is Harry's first technical difficulty.
Really?
Pretty bad. Yeah. This is
that
what
the
happens
first
when
one?
you buy like off Amazon some cheap China connections and wirings. Like you just
I see.
but it lasted for quite a while. I'm not sure what's going on right now.
It finally bit the dust
Oh my gosh.
today.
Yeah. But I don't
Well,
know.
you want to sign us out, Harry?
I'll sign us off with my no face, but
Yeah, it'll be good.
Jack,
ASMR.
Jack, I appreciate you.
Of course.
Fellow friend and Bay Arean. Like it's awesome.
Yes,
and
sir.
Calpaulian. Yeah, appreciate you, man. It's really cool. I think it's a long time coming just to be able to chat with you and hang out and get you on the pod. And it's just a matter of time. And so, yeah, like AJ said, we'll definitely have you back. I love talking about and seeing all the variety of animals and whatnot. So,
yeah,
man,
anytime.
we really appreciate you, dude. And everybody, go to Jack for Ebenaui. He's got a lot of eggs.
He's got a bunch.
He's got a bunch. He is the premier Ebenaui guy. So
Ebenaui, Sikorae, hopefully.
Buy all his animals and yeah, give him a follow. Even though he has 20K followers, he has more followers than you. So yeah, Jack, appreciate you, man. We thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys. Good talking to y'all.
All right, man.
See you, man.
Take care.